Greetings, welcome back to Ministry Monday. I'm Carlton, Coon. It's good to be with you. Try to be here every Monday. Doesn't always happen that way. Sometime back, I did a series on followership, taught it to our local church. One of the things that came across in my time of studying this was the fact that people who are healthy, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically healthy, will not follow a leader who does not treat them with respect. Doesn't mean that we agree with them, doesn't mean that we approve their actions or behavior. It simply means that we respect their right, even the right to be wrong, which is something Jesus did quite often. I want to talk with you about you can't kick the sheep and keep them close. I realize that it's a time when we as preachers need a lot of encouragement, as does everyone else. But stress seems to flow downward, and those who are in leadership have the potential to add more stress to the people we're leading rather than helping to alleviate that stress. If you're a young pastor, if you anticipate being a pastor in the future, the things I'm going to talk with you about over these next few minutes are really important, regardless of the behaviors that you have seen from leaders in your past life. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 34, deserves quite a bit of study from anybody who is going to be a pastor or a shepherd in particular. Because Ezekiel 34 is God's indictment against the leadership of the nation of Israel. He looked at his flock and they were battered, they were beaten, not healthy. And the Lord did not indict the sheep, he indicted the shepherds. And among the things that he taught with them about was that they were greedy, and their self-interest, their own prosperity and well-being were more important than the flock of God. And what was beneficial to them, the shepherds, was more important than what was beneficial to the sheep. What was easy for the shepherd was more important than what was easy for the sheep. I guess an example of that for modern times would be if a pastor has to work, say, late, but he wants to have prayer meetings, and so he makes it the schedule that prayer meeting is going to happen at 6:30 every Monday morning. Well, 6:30 every Monday morning may not be beneficial for anybody except him. But because it's beneficial for him, and you'd say, well, now nobody thinks that way, but unfortunately there are people who that's exactly the way they think. What's best for me is what's best for everybody, and we're just going to implement this requirement. The second thing that I noticed in my rereading of Ezekiel 34 is their ignoring of the wounded and needy. They were devoid of compassion. And so if a member of the flock was not doing well and could not provide adequate fleece, or maybe there were other things that were lacking, the shepherd would give them no attention. Listen, you can't kick the sheep and at the same time keep them close. In my book, The Science of Shepherding, I talk about the rod and the staff, and they were intended to bring security as well as direction. They were tools for rescue. They were also tools to point the way. But in Ezekiel 34, the shepherd does not use the rod or the staff for either of those things. Instead, they are used to batter and to abuse. We can take the Word of God and we can beat people up with it. We can take our words and we can assault men and women. I'm sure that there have been times in my life when I have done so. Any who have heard me in such a manner, please forgive me. because I want to be compassionate in our difficult circumstances. And to my dear friends who are pastors, please hear me. You can't kick the sheep and keep them close. Put their interest first. They're the flock of God. And be sure that attention is given to the wounded and the needy. Bless you. Have a great week. If you have a question or comment, please send them my direction.